Hello, and welcome to the Midwestern Geek and Cali podcast. I'm your host, Dan Stafford, podcasting from 42 Tardis Way in beautiful Temecula, California, which is summer's winter home. On this podcast, we'll talk about science, technology, science fiction, the paranormal, local entrepreneurship, regional entrepreneurship, occasionally politics, poetry, especially sci-fi poetry, and all other things geek. So get ready for the deep stuff because we're about to take a dive into the cosmos. And it is another beautiful day in Temecula. The weather's lovely here. It's a little on the warm side. I won't tease you Midwesterners too much if you're listening from over there. I have with me today Christy Hughlett-Johnson from Escapes and Getaways Travel, and she is the travel agent for my local business group, my particular chapter that I'm in, and she does an outstanding job. And I am going to let Christy give you her 60-second elevator pitch.
Thank you, Dan. This is kind of exciting. So my name is Christy, and what I do is I organize travel for people. So whether it's a single person or a couple or a family or even a large group that's traveling, we organize all of their travel arrangements, get everything together, so all the client needs to do is go out and have a good time on vacation.
Excellent. All right. That's a good 60-second. Like, hello, I want to get out of here. Okay. So, Christy, I want the audience to find out a little bit more about you as a person. So let's talk about off the job first. Okay. So you're married.
Of course.
Tell us a little bit about your other half. I know him, but.
Yeah, so my husband and I have been married almost 30 years, and he is a contractor, so he is in business for himself doing general construction work. He's also a member of our networking group that you know.
Different chapter.
Different chapter, yes. Very hardworking man, one of the most loyal, honest men that you will ever meet.
Excellent. I like him too. And give us his name and the name of his business and maybe a way to contact him, just in case people are interested.
His name's Joe Johnson. He does work through Deluxe Incorporated, Deluxe Construction, and a phone number would be 951-760-4609.
Excellent. I always like to make sure that if we're going to talk about a biz, we're going to give people a way to reach them.
Great.
Excellent. All right. So kids, Rugrats, college dorm kids, anywhere in between?
Yeah, we have 4 kids. So we have 2 girls in college, and we have, actually my oldest daughter just graduated with her second degree, so she's not currently in school. She's getting ready to study for her MCATs to do the medical exam so she can start medical school. My youngest is in community college, and I have a high schooler and a middle schooler.
Awesome. So in between all the way up to beyond.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, what about pets? You got any fur kids?
Yes, we have 3 cats because we have a little bit of acreage and you have to have cats. So we've got 3 cats and a dog.
Excellent. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your mom and dad. What were they like?
My parents are pretty cool. They're, middle-class family growing up I grew up 70s, 80s, and they both worked. So 2-income family. One of the few families growing up where the parents stayed together, where all my parents were all getting divorced. Mine didn't get divorced until after my first child was born. But they were great parents.
All right. Any hobbies other than cruising?
I love to scrapbook. I guess it goes hand in hand with the cruising, traveling. You come back with all those great pictures and you want to keep them somewhat organized so people can share with them and see all the great memories. So I love to do that. And then 2 of my kids play sports. So we're at basketball games or football games to watch them.
Cool. Well, you just talked about sports, so that was one of the questions. So, what about movies, TV shows, books, radio shows, magazines, any of those type of things that you enjoy?
Sure. There's two TV programs I like. Big Bang Theory is one of my favorites. And so we actually just did a costume. My whole family dressed up as the Big Bang Theory on this costume party we went
You
to
do
last
have a
week.
little geek going on.
Yes, I
Yeah.
got a little geek. And then my other one is Survivor. For some reason, that show just sucks me in and I have to watch it.
Kind of probably like me and Doctor Who or the X-Files. That's what. All right. So, all right, let's get into your job a little bit. All right. So, you gave us the elevator pitch. So, let's go a little more in detail. When you plan travel for somebody, what kind of things can you do for them?
Most everything that you would think of when it comes to travel. So my specialty is cruising. I love cruising. And you can think, yes, I'm going to go out and book a cruise. But in addition to that, you have to think about how you're getting to the cruise port. Do you need to fly? If you're flying, how are you getting from the airport to the cruise terminal? And do you need a hotel? Because if you're going to be going somewhere far away, I recommend flying up the day before so you can get a hotel room and then transfer over. I can take care of all that. So the airfare, the hotel transfers, the cruises, shore excursions. When you're on this fabulous vacation, you might want to go explore when you're in port, so we book shore excursions for that. I can also take care of rental cars, all-inclusive resorts, anything that you can think of pretty much that goes with travel. And then one thing that I always recommend is trip insurance, because you never know what's going to happen. If you get hurt while you're on vacation, your primary insurance may not cover that. So we take care of that as well.
I've taken you up on that advice once, as
Yes,
I
you have.
recall. Okay. So I know from hearing a couple of the folks talk. Now, for the listeners out there, this is something I've not really talked about, I don't think, on the show, but I'm 6'6" and I'm hovering right around 309 pounds right now. I was 348 last January, swimming a lot. Anyway, cruises aren't really my thing because boats, big people, just one of those things. But I do like road trips and I do like traveling by Amtrak. Okay. I enjoy both of those because, car, I like to drive. I grew up doing road trips. Amtrak is cool because I can get up, walk around. The bottom bunk in the rooms is big enough, which is cool. You can read. You don't have to worry about the driving. You don't have to worry about somebody hacking the train, most likely. It's like self-driving cars. That scares me for the obvious hacking reasons. So I took you up on the travel insurance for a train trip, actually, back to the Midwest, if I remember right. But I've also heard some of the folks that have worked with you on cruises talk about some of the special things that you've done for them. I remember one of our members talking about upgrades in the middle of a cruise or middle of a trip. I also remember them talking about you having some inside knowledge on particular destinations that was helpful to them. So I want to point out that Christy's about more than just your basic get it done, go on the cruise and do the generic stuff. She knows things and she's kind of not really talking that up. So I'm doing it for her. Okay.
Thank you.
So, okay. She can do a lot more for you than what you can do for yourself online. So I know that me talking about this is probably going to freshen you. You were there and did this. So what were a couple of the things that you did for people while they were in the middle of a cruise? Give us a couple of examples.
Well, some things that I like to do is to provide them with gifts. So even if I'm not there, I can have their room stocked with maybe a bottle of wine or have some chocolate-covered strawberries, delivered to them. So they have a little welcome gift when they show up. Honeymooners, especially like to get a bottle of champagne or some flowers. But sometimes things don't go exactly as you expect they're going to go when you're on a trip. And I always try and tell people, be prepared for the unexpected. There was a time where my client was really set on visiting a certain island on her cruise. And unfortunately, there was a medical evacuation that needed to be done for one of the guests on board, and they had to skip that island. She wasn't real thrilled about that, but I was still able to make sure she got her money back on the shore excursions that she had booked for that place, and, talk to her while she was in transit so that we were able to smooth over the details and make her feel a little bit more at home on that. So it's little things like that. I can request like a special occasion to be celebrated while they're on board. If I notice that you have a birthday while you're sailing, or if you are celebrating an anniversary, if I know those kinds of things, I can let the crew members know, and they'll celebrate with a song, maybe decorate something in your room for you. Just make it a little extra special.
Excellent. Now, I know with your work, the question of whether or not you work remote or you prefer local clients, it really doesn't matter as long as you know your client's tastes. So that's a question I would typically ask, but I don't think that's really going to be pertinent here. So somebody, as long as you know what they want and what their likes and dislikes are, you can get them whatever they need from wherever they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's the biggest challenge for you in all this?
There's a lot of challenges, with anything. Sometimes you'll get a client who wants to take a great vacation, and they have all these great dreams and grandiose ideas of what they want to do, but their budget isn't going to match their ideas. And so those things get a little tricky. You want to make them happy and you want to get them to their destination, but if they want to stay in a cave-style room in Santorini, Greece, and their budget is, $2,000 for an 11-day trip, that's just not going to happen. And so it's hard sometimes to explain that to people that, this great idea you have is going to require a little more money, or we can tailor it down. And I've just been working on that with a couple different honeymoon couples this week, because they both had really great ideas, but just not the money to go with it.
All right, so there you heard it, folks. This is the flip side of great expectations, okay?
Yeah.
But the thing is that even if you can't do all the grand dreams, Christy can find you ways to do things that are going to kind of get the job done within your budget. So, be flexible, be prepared to have an open mind, and be prepared to do things a little bit differently, but just as cool.
That's right. We found the great one for the first honeymoon couple I was talking about, and she's completely excited now about what we've got going on for her.
Okay, so I've got a couple of more like stock questions here that I want to ask. So what's your favorite customer story? Without naming any names, you can protect the innocent or the guilty.
What do you mean, customer story?
Well, all right, so something happened on a cruise that was kind of comical, or you rescued somebody from disaster. You kind of mentioned one, but what's your favorite story like that, where...
I love to help people to experience something they've never experienced before. So one of my things is I have led groups before. I've escorted groups. And it is just amazing when you go somewhere with somebody and they have never experienced a cruise ship, and you're on there, and just to watch their facial expressions when they see these, extravagant spaces, or, experience the moods. But okay, here's one of my favorite. We went on a cruise with another couple that had never cruised before. And even though we explained how everything is all included, your meals, everything's all included, the wife did not understand. And so we would sit down in the dining room and have this wonderful gourmet lunch or a multi-course dinner, and we would get up to leave, and she'd be, "Who's paying the bill? I didn't see the bill." We're like, "No, it's paid for." And she wasn't getting it. So we just kind of started playing with her, and we'd tell her, "It's all right, we're going to pick up the tab this time." And we'd leave. So then we'd go to the next meal, and same thing would happen again. She started getting really upset with her husband. "You have to pay for this too. You can't let Joe take care of everything." And it was just hilarious because she just was not understanding that this was already all prepaid.
That's cute. That is cute. She does go on cruises. She doesn't just book them for other people.
Yes, I've been on 18 cruises in the last 8 or 9 years. So
Okay, that kind of answered my next question too, because I was going to ask you what the funniest thing that happened at work is, but that's a pretty good
yeah.
one. So, is there somebody in your field that you really look up to and admire? You know, like kind of an example that, like a mentor at a distance or a mentor up in person or anything along those lines? And I'm going to shove the list of questions to the side, so crinkle the paper now. And
Well, we just came back from our annual convention with my host agency. So, like, I have my own little agency, but there's a host that organizes so much for us, and we siphon everything through the host agency. There, we were able to meet with some very successful agents and people who haven't even been doing travel as long as I have, but have built amazing businesses in just a couple of years. So, yeah, those are some new mentors that I have fallen in love with, I guess, because they've just really succeeded quickly and they're very down to earth people.
but no god of travel yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Okay. Well, you just went on a cruise down to, was it Ensenada?
Yes, the last one was a little 3-night cruise to Ensenada.
How was it? Was it fun?
Oh, it was a ton of fun. It's Carnival Cruise Lines, which is one of the most affordable cruise lines you can have. And it sails out of locally, it's out of LA for us. So it's very local. We had a group of 37 people on board. And so it was really neat that everywhere you would go, you'd turn around, you'd see somebody you knew, you know, you could wave, hi, whatever.
Share the joy.
But what was really neat about the cruise is this was the first time that they've done this, but they celebrated Halloween. They're celebrating all month long for October. And so they had pumpkin carving contest and costume contest, and they had trick-or-treating for the kids. And the costume contest, that party was the funnest thing. And there were 3 couples from our group that all were in the finalists for the costume contest. And so that was really fun too.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. It kind of reminded me of something that Saren and I did right before we moved here. We actually went to see the Queen Mary in Long Beach, and it was coming up on Halloween. The Queen Mary, for those of you who don't know, is like a classic 1930s cruise ship that's moored permanently in Long Beach, California. And you can tour it, and oh, that thing is cool. It's super cool. And at this particular trip we were going, it was getting close to Halloween, so they were doing a haunted boat tour on the Queen Mary. Now that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
I can imagine.
So I'll just throw that one out there because we're right in the zone. So anyone listening, if you're near Long Beach, you might want to head over there and check out and see if Queen Mary's haunted again this year. Like it's not all the time.
Right. Yeah. It's always haunted.
Right. Okay, so I told you when we were getting into this that I had a little bit of an idea that ties in with the geek theme of this show.
Okay.
And what you do. All right. So I'm going to set a little bit of a challenge for you. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, okay, is to come up with a series of geek dream getaways.
Right.
Okay. So I'm thinking Chicago TARDIS, this big blue British police box from the 50s that Doctor Who travels through time and space in. That's a TARDIS.
Right.
You look around, you see a lot of TARDIS blue in here in 42 TARDIS Way. Chicago TARDIS happens in November in Chicago, and it's one of the premier U.S. Doctor Who conventions. It's coming up next month. So maybe that might be a suggestion for one to look up and kind of, I'm thinking, do like an ultimate package, do like a budget package, and do a shoestring package.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And if that's too close, if Chicago TARDIS is too close, there are, all kinds of cool geek destinations to go through. So I'm thinking maybe come up with a list. And what we can do is have you come back on the podcast and talk about some of these, maybe do a little bit of a series, a running series.
All right.
So maybe make you the queen of geek getaways.
I have a couple friends that are a little geeky. we can
Hello.
do that. When you said Geek Getaways, I'm thinking like Silicon Valley, and go see Google and Facebook and, all those
Absolutely.
headquarters.
You've got tech geeks, you've got sci-fi and geeks, comic book geeks, combination of those two. You've got horror geeks, you've got cosplay geeks, there's several different kinds. So it might be an interesting kind of like a little, I've only read this word. I've never heard it pronounced ever. So I tend to say niche, but I mean niche. Yeah. Little kind of niche for you to kind of make a name for yourself in. It might be a nice little sideline to what you already do. So I'll kind of set that challenge for you. But if we have listeners that might have suggestions for places for you to look at for this project or challenge, how would they get in touch with you to let you know?
Well, I guess they could send a text, or would that probably be the best, or give me a phone call. I have a Facebook page, Escapes and Getaways Travel Company on Facebook, or email. I mean, those are the main ways you can get hold of me.
Okay, so let's rattle off all the business emails, that website.
Okay, now you're going to embarrass me because I got an AOL email.
Don't sweat it. If you can get the email, it works.
It works for me. So my email is johnsongetaways, that's with an S at the end, at AOL.com. And then my phone number is 951-368-4350. So text or call, either way works.
Okay. Or email.
And there email, of course.
So, okay, I don't know about Chicago TARDIS because it's really close. I know it's in November. It's kind of close to Thanksgiving, but that's like the premier Doctor Who convention in Chicago and probably in the U.S., I think, actually. And I know they switched the locations up, but there's an awful lot of resources in that neck of the woods, too. So it might be pretty cool if it can still be done.
Right. Or even, I'm assuming they do this every year.
Yeah.
We can look at it for next year as well.
Yeah, I think we were there. Sarah and I were there in 2012. We got really lucky because they were having it at a hotel 2 miles from our condo when we lived in the western suburbs of Chicago. So we could have just about walked there.
Right.
Actually, I have walked to where that place was a couple of times, just not for that particular event. But yeah, but that was a lucky break. There's also the Chicago version of Comic-Con, C2E2, which is Comic-Con and Entertainment Expo. And that's held at McCormick Place, which is a huge convention center right on Lake Michigan in Chicago. That is usually in the spring sometime. And I know Comic-Con, the monster of them all, is here in San Diego in the summer. And I think once you start looking at the two, there's going to be a huge difference in price as far as being able to just walk in the door at the event. I don't know about the, travel and accommodations and that end of it, but I know the tickets to get in are a lot cheaper for C2E2 than they are for Comic-Con.
All right.
But, well, I don't want to knock C2E2 though. It's huge. I mean, the last time I was there was in the spring of 14, and it was a good 6 or 7 football fields worth of convention center space.
Wow.
It's not a small show.
Nope.
Not a small show. And I want to say the general entry tickets were on the order of like $25-30.
That's a deal.
Yeah, because Comic-Con, I want to say something like 400.
Wow.
I think, well, again, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to get the actual facts and figures on stuff like this. But think about it and let me know if you want to play with this one further down the road. You heard it here, folks. You could be listening to the future queen of geek travel worldwide.
Awesome.
All right, Christy. I want to thank you for being on the show. I think we're going to wrap it up there. We don't want to make it too long. Our listeners will run out of time to listen. So give them again how they can get a hold of you one more time.
Phone number is 951-368-4350, and email is Johnson Getaways with an S at the end at AOL.com.
Excellent. And of course, Escapes and Getaways Travel is on Facebook as well.
Yes.
All right. Any closing remarks?
No, this was interesting. It was fun. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, everyone. Thank you out there for listening, and happy Vulcan fingers to you from the Agent of 42. This is your host, Dan Stafford, with a Midwestern Geek and Cali podcast. And I'd like to thank you for listening and welcome you to come back anytime you'd like. As always, you can find us at www.singingwire.net and also at Midwest Geek Cali on Twitter. And last but not least, at www.midwesterngeekincali.com.